When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comforts me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us, only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no illness. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to stay inside for, and no mass media too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. They may say that I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday they'll join us, and the world will be as one, and the world be as one.
Hello, everybody. That was beautiful. Hello, Ernesto.
I'm doing great. I am delighted that I had a little bit of time to watch episode 30, which one thing is to do it, because it was a lot of work coordinating over 30 different speakers and experts that we have during that day. And then, of course, watching the All Together at Home concert, which it was just so cool to be able to do it on the same day and contribute to their efforts.
Absolutely. And it was a really excitement experience, the whole thing to come together like that. We had a show that was more like in partnership, silent partnership, if nothing else, with the big concert. Because if you were to put together some of the biggest speakers in the world, or the biggest event organizers, we had them on our show. So the whole thing came very nicely together, so I was very happy with that. Yeah, can I just check one thing, Ernesto? Your microphone sounds very quiet. I don't know if you can turn up a little bit. I don't know if that's the same for anybody else who's watching, but you just sound a little bit quiet. I'm a big gob anyway. Just turn up a little bit more.
And yeah, as we were saying, it was a complete honor to do on the same day the One World Together at Home and episode number 30, which we were in support of and silent partners of it. We got inspiration. We know that we could also create and put together some stars on our side, and it was just absolutely amazing. Did you manage to watch some of the show, Dave?
Yeah, it was. And all these things remind me of Live Aid in 1984-85, when all the big stars for the first time came together for a good reason, and you really got to see who the big players were. And what I love about this entire event is when they're playing on their own with an instrument, it's like a guy in a pub playing a song by a famous person. And you get to see how the famous person who wrote the song actually sounds if they were in a pub or a restaurant doing it themselves. But there were some wonderful surprises there, and the blended videos where you got people in remote places playing together, they were fantastic. There's one done of We Are the World using YouTube artists all singing all the bits. I didn't know who any of them were, but it didn't matter because quite clearly they knew who they were and other people would as well. But it was such a beautiful thing to watch. So yeah, fantastic, very good. I think this is a norm. This is something we're going to see a lot more of in the future, regardless of what happens.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. So I've been predicting trends already for a number of years, and let me just share with you how the strategy of trend prediction works. Well, first of all, you have to observe what's going on. I mean, because of course you cannot just predict trends just by saying, well, you know, this is what's happening. If you start observing what's going on, then you're going to start realizing what might happen in the future. So I think the first thing that we need to realize is that the travel industry is going to be really in dire straits. Let me just show you these couple of things which are just insane. I mean, this is Carnival Cruises, and Carnival Cruises was one of those that was really affected by it, but also because of stupid things that they created. I mean, look at this picture. There was a big article right now going on in Bloomberg that it's about all the mistakes that Carnival Cruises did last February, and how they suddenly became they were the focal point of infection coming for Italy with Costa Cruises, and also coming to Florida with Carnival Cruises. Absolutely horrendous. And they even created, I mean, the story is that bad that they created a booklet, which is an article, but it's more than anything like a booklet that
catalog
20 pages long, that talks about all the crazy things that Carnival Cruises did. So if we start from there, we know that the cruise industry is going to really take a big hit, because people have already been afraid of what is happening in cruises. So right now, I mean, you and I, Dave, have taken some Carnival Cruises, and right now, I tell you, it definitely makes me think twice.
Well, there's no way you can do social distancing on a cruise. You're bumping into people, you're chatting to people, you're sharing the same air, you're touching the same handrails going up and down the stairs. You know, you're drinking together and everything. I mean, they're beautiful holidays, but exactly the wrong way for what we're talking about with the pandemic. But in defense of the guys who run the cruises and all the people who are going to be in the firing line, and I'm sure when I read the book, I'll turn around and say, you know, they did make a lot of big mistakes. We've never had this before. And I think what this will do is, in the events industry, you've got health and safety people whose job is to say, if there's a bomb scare, or if there's a fire, or if there's a fatality, this is what we've got to do. We've got the fire escapes here, the security know what to do to get people out safely. We put the big lights on, we tell people with a announcement what you have to do, and blah, blah, blah. There's nothing in place for a pandemic anywhere in the world.
No,
there will be from now on. So that book that you got there will end up becoming a template for future organizations to say, we need to have a way of dealing with this so we don't get blacklisted in the post-pandemic world. Because those who got it wrong so badly will find it, if they're not already out of business because of lawsuits, will find it very difficult to get credibility back, because people just won't trust them anymore.
Correct. And you know, so what happens is it shows, I mean, we did a trip from Dubai to Mumbai. It was in February. And while the Chinese airlines were already flying, they were already using all the stewardesses in the Chinese airlines were already using their face masks and whatever. We were traveling, and I remember our friend Christian Farioli, which was actually sitting next to us. he was the only one actually wearing a mask. But right now, this story of traveling wearing a mask, it's something that we are going to be definitely facing, because, of course, I mean, besides the cruises, the airlines are the other ones that also right now they will. It's not about just the craziness of getting into a metal tube for 4 to 10 hours, 2 hours, or whatever you're going to be there. But of course, you're breathing the same air, you're doing the same things, and of course, it's something else that is going to be tremendously affected. So I think there's two things that we can see that they have happened that are already making us rethink how things actually work. Which of course takes me to the next step. Which, what is it going to happen with business travel? I mean, right now we were used to travel. For example, if I was here in Houston, I was used to take the plane and go to Dallas, or go to San Antonio for one day, or go to possibly Florida for one day, or if I was there in Dubai, to go from Dubai to Bahrain, or to go to Doha, or to go to Saudi Arabia and come back. But right now, what's going to be happening is that we're going to start using less, at least for a while, the travel from short business travel. I think that's the thing which is going to be affected the most in the short term. In the long term, I think there's going to be a lot of reduction in frequencies. That's my take on it.
I think what we're going to have is a lot more knowledge about what's happening here. Do you remember in the 80s when AIDS was discovered, and suddenly you could catch it from everything, and you could catch it from this and that, and if you talked to somebody and they had AIDS, you'd catch it, and all this. Later on, it became aware of what the actual difference was. It was all fluid exchange and so on like that. And with that, people could be a bit more reasonable. They weren't scared. The paranoia calmed down. And even though it took years later before they had realistic drugs that took care of it, people were able to live with people who had AIDS, as opposed to thinking if you catch it from the air, that we're breathing together. What will happen with this, in my opinion, is we'll end up with more clarity. Even before we got a cure, we'll understand what creates it and what makes it come back again in people as well. Because right now it's just it's an invisible terror. And even now we're starting to realize a little bit more about it. By self-isolating, you're able to refigure your world, and all that you don't get is access to people. But like this, we talk to each other every day. It's a complete pleasure before we do the show, during the show, and after. But I think that it will calm down, and I think there'll be a lot of casualties until then, which will be the big gigs and the sports events and planes and carnivals and so on. But I do think it will change when we get more awareness.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think, for example, big events, big concerts, sports are also going to be dramatically affected, because you're not going to see the big crowds. I mean, who wants to be right now? This is something that I've been asking everybody. And if you're actually watching live, I would love to hear your comments about it. Right now, if I just see an amount of people like this, for example, I see all this amount of people, I get uncomfortable just by looking at the picture. I mean, just imagine, for example, thinking of going to Disney in these kind of circumstances. It makes me feel incredibly uncomfortable. So I believe that at least in the short term, and when I say short term, I'm talking about the rest of 2020. This is going to be something which we're not going to see that often, because in reality, we have changed a lot of behavioral patterns, which are called habits. And this is something that we're going to be covering tomorrow. But when our habits have changed, we are going to start seeing these kind of events completely in a different eye.
And when I show footage of the old gigs and look through old footage of the gigs where I had like thousands of people, hundreds of people in the audience, and they're all really close in proximity, it feels obscene to look at it now, even though it was just completely the norm before. And so it's very important to be aware of that. People have incredibly different sensibilities, like the key things that we don't talk about on broadcasting. We don't talk about religion, we don't talk about race, we don't talk about money and how much you earn and all that. There's a couple of things that are taboo, gender, politics, and so on. You don't do that. I think that visually, being too close to people will freak people out, even looking at it. And that video that we showed at the beginning, which is brilliant, the Imagine video, at the very end, you saw two policemen walking past the guy playing piano. I thought he was going to get arrested. And I was trying to work out why would he be arrested? He's just playing the public piano. But it could be for any number of reasons, just because of a paranoia that we're feeling with the lockdown and the social distancing.
Well, let me just show you what is happening right now in Italy. This is just insane. There's few restaurants open in Italy right now, but look at how they are actually being served. I mean, this is just insane. I mean, just think about that. You're going to have a date, or you're going to actually go with a few friends like that, and you have to be sitting like this. This is just really crazy. I mean, this is just something that it's unbelievable. So that's why I'm saying, I mean, this opportunity of seeing what's happening in other parts of the world, it's basically a future of what's going to be happening in places which have actually got into this wave a little bit earlier.
Yeah, I've got to say, with that restaurant, there's many times I've sat with people who spit when they eat. I'd be more than happy to have had that barrier between me and them. But this is people clutching at straws, and some things will work and some things won't, getting normalcy back into business. If that means that their restaurant is full because people feel safe in going to it, that's going to save jobs, it's going to save businesses, and it's going to save marriages and relationships so people can go out and socialize again. So I think that you're going to see a couple of things like that we laugh at, but we just go, you know what, that kind of works. Like, for instance, I would never consider wearing a mask because it just looks stupid. But now I can't imagine going out in public without wearing that mask because I just don't want the risk which is on the other side of it. So I think we'll see a lot of things that we laughed at before and just say that's a sensible way to play until further notice.
Yeah, that is correct. So the other big trend that we have, of course, seen already building is this story with Zoom. And you know what? It's just an interesting thing. I've known about Zoom for about 3 or 4 years, but many people have never really heard of Zoom before. And this is something that I find it incredibly funny because it applies exactly. They say, if the only tool you have is a hammer, you will see every problem as a nail. And this is exactly what is going on right now. Most people,
like that,
pandemic, had never heard of Zoom. And now Zoom is the most downloaded app after TikTok in every platform, whether it is Google platform or whether it is the Apple platform. Now, do I think it's a great tool? No. Do I think it's the future? No. Do I think it's just the way to do things? No. The only thing that I think is that it is the only tool that people know. And this is just weird.
I find it strange that Skype hasn't come back with a better way of doing this, because they were the masters of distance communication. But what we've got now, and it won't last, but it's good on Zoom for get it in there, is we've got a generic name for video conferencing, and it's called having a Zoom. The same as a generic name for a mobile phone used to be a Nokia, then it became an iPhone. Sorry?
Kleenex.
A mobile phone was called a Kleenex. I don't think it was.
No, that's another brand.
I know, a tissue is called a Kleenex. Absolutely. The key brands, you know, do you want a soft drink or would you like an alcoholic drink? If you want a soft drink, would you like a Coke? That's implied when you go into a bar. And so what we've got right now, while people try and find their way around it, is Zoom. But you've got a ton of tech companies. I guarantee there's 100 tech companies looking to knock Zoom off its pedestal by doing more bespoke and more easy to use systems. Like, for instance, House Party, which is what, as you've mentioned to me, all the kids use. You know, it's got games built in. It's fun. You can play music, do all sorts of stuff. They've been seen dead on Zoom. But right now, Zoom is a boring but competent version that the corporates are using. It will change in the same way as not everybody's on Facebook anymore. They've got their own social media platforms that they prefer. But I'm glad we've got it, because for most people, it's a lifeline to have it right now.
Yeah, I have a very interesting video about that. Have a look.
Twice a week, Jamie Huber, who is this reporter's son, gets ready for Taekwondo class. This week is no exception. But instead of leaving home to take class, he's doing it remotely via Zoom.
10, 1, 2,
The video conferencing platform allows Jamie to see and hear his teacher, Master An, as well as the other students. Some 1.5 billion children are now out of school worldwide because of the coronavirus pandemic. Many are turning to technology to learn and stay connected. For Zoom, the crisis has been a boon. After TikTok, it's the second most downloaded app in the world. Zoom stock is listed on the NASDAQ. It's one of the rare stocks to pop amid the coronavirus outbreak. While the broader markets have tanked in recent weeks, Zoom's shares have soared. Adults like Christine Kiernan are using it for work and pleasure.
I never heard of Zoom before the coronavirus crisis. My yoga teacher told me about it. He decided he'd start offering classes online, and I thought, hey, I'm stuck at home. I'm going to give this a try.
While there are other video conferencing platforms, it appears Zoom is the most popular during this crisis.
I think it's become apparent that Zoom offers perhaps the easiest to use solution for a variety of different types of companies and users. And that's really compelling in an environment where people just want to connect and be able to get their work done.
Kiernan says it's also a good option for taking classes.
You know, it's not the same as a real class by a long shot, but, you know, when you're trapped inside your apartment and you can't go anywhere, I'd say it's fantastic.
Jamie misses the real deal, but says under the current circumstances, it'll do.
You can't go the actual place, so it's better than nothing, though. Thank you, sir!
Karina Huber, CGTN, New York.
Beautiful. And I reckon I'm not a good martial artist, but I could probably beat that kid. I'm not sure, but I think. Anyway, going into a different subject, isn't it amazing how every time that you see somebody's house, it looks a mess? Because nobody's ready for this. Nobody's ready to get the style gurus in to have a look at everything and tidy it all up. I mean, you've got a wonderful view of a world map behind you, which makes you look like the 247th most traveled man in the world. And I don't think anyone's going to beat your record, by the way. I think that's there for life. Whereas I'm in my office where I will have to give this place a rethink for doing future business conferencing from, because that's a cupboard behind me full of lots of suits and jackets, which never really bothered me because I didn't have to do any broadcasting from here. But people will judge you based on it. And even there with the reporter, you can see the books stacked up. They've got a little space for a little son to play. And people will start judging the way they do by the quality of your suit, the way that you look in your Zoom call. It will just be something that people play with instead.
Yeah, it is something that most people have never thought of. If I actually focus to that side of my office, I have exercise equipment. So that doesn't really
covered in cobwebs.
That exercise equipment is, of course, used as hangers because it's not reused. But anyway, if I go to that side of my office, it is I will just see the door, and I will just see a bunch of shoes, and I just see cobwebs and all sorts of things. That doesn't look nice. So it is very weird because actually my real screen is over here. I'm actually working over here. However, I had to position my camera on this side because this is the nicest view that I have here for my calls, for my video calls. In fact, I have a really good video from these guys which are judging. They actually do it as a profession on how you should actually look for these calls. Have a look.
What is that on the wall? What's your musical instrument?
I'm getting a background check from writer and fashion commentator Simon Doonan and designer Jonathan Adler.
That is the trumpet that my father took up late in life and was one of the loves of his life. It is my most prized possession.
With so many of us sheltering in place, the places where we shelter have become objects of fascination.
This world that we're living in now, where we're constantly on view, FaceTime, Zoom calls, has turned everyone into an obsessive art director.
With a view of public figures in their private spaces, here's the ordinarily flamboyant Lady Gaga.
We're in my office.
She's very conservative looking. This is Gaga running the HR department. I like it.
Daily Show host Trevor Noah.
These are actually African heritage domes.
He has really nailed it. And on the right side, we see that he won some sort of award, which gives him an award-winning presence.
Journalist Cynthia McFadden.
It's very well composed in a way that sort of creates serenity and looks very chic and appealing.
Thank you!
And Senator Bernie Sanders.
I would hope that no matter what your political view is.
I appreciate that he has the chess set, which says, I'm a strategic thinker, which is important.
Some stars don't need any background at all.
You can send somebody a virtual hug.
Only a real international global icon can do this kind of level of simplicity.
Clouds away.
This is our Jim Gaffigan. And I have to tell you right away, I love his chandeliers.
I've never seen so many chandeliers.
It adds a little unexpected burst of glamour to Jim Gaffigan.
Be safe, everyone. We're going to get through this.
Seeing the couch they have could be the most interesting information that you learn today that's not horrifying.
Amanda Hess is a critic at large for the New York Times. She says focusing on the scenery can be a welcome distraction.
There's something soothing about meditating on the pattern of Reese Witherspoon's chair.
Yes. Even though it couldn't be less important. But that's part of what makes it so nice.
Of course, public figures are used to being public. But what about everybody else?
What we're divulging by letting people see us in our home environments, I don't know, I wonder if we're going to regret this.
It's certainly possible, but I've found that, when I get on a Zoom chat with my colleagues, I'm looking at their surroundings and I'm certainly interested, but I don't think I'm judgmental because for the most part, somebody else is looking at your apartment too. So it's this mutual experience.
Mutual, but not always equal. Students suddenly having to take classes online and seeing each other's home environments are learning about their own class differences.
It has revealed these divides and also probably connections between people that may never have been revealed otherwise.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tom Hanks!
After all, we're living in an era when Tom Hanks hosted Saturday Night Live from his kitchen.
That is some sound effect of applause.
Somebody told me that they think that a lot of big Hollywood stars are using their kitchens because there's a little bit of a democratizing effect at work. Do you think there's anything to that?
Yeah, I do. I think that's actually a great point. Like, we all have kitchens, and you don't look around and see the sort of Jim Gaffigan level of chandeliers and glamour. It humanizes Tom Hanks. Jim Gaffigan's the one who really misplayed it by showing that he basically lives in Versailles.
Fascinating. I could have watched that show instead of hours for another 30 minutes. A couple of things there. The girl who was talking about it doesn't matter too much with the blonde hair, it looked like she had a superimposed background with a green screen. It didn't look real. It looked like it was a corner of a room that's created and superimposed. I think what's going to happen is there's going to be a website, if it's not done already, and it would be a very smart thing for IKEA to go down this route, which is decorate your home from home. So you can get your business place looking exactly right. It needs to have a big picture like you have with a map or something, but a number of different elements. Some people are going to go down the green screen route, but the problem with the green screen is if the lighting's wrong, you get a shadow behind you to prove that it's not real. But even looking at it, I've got tons and tons of certificates from hypnosis and NLP and business things I've been on and rugby sevens and so on for all the events I've done. They're sat in a big pile and a code behind there. I realize that this is a big credibility thing if I'm trying to do business with certain people who don't know who I am. Not that anybody is left who doesn't know who I am. But you really have to reinvent the business space that you have into something. So I think a lot of people will also consider going onto royalty-free sites or even buying posters or classy-looking images that they'll get sent to their house that they can put up in their new office just to make it look more sophisticated. It's a very different thing. I think it's going to be the same level as buying a suit. And despite the fact that at some point we're going to come out of the houses and be able to communicate and meet each other, I think that this office space is going to be a very important part of the future, which just didn't have to exist before.
Yeah, it's absolutely critical. In fact, I was having a conversation with Angel Tucci, which is an expert in media, and she's actually waiting right now for a live call, and we'll actually talk about it in a second.
Well, hello, Dave. Hello, Ernesto. It's Angel Tucci from Denver, Colorado, media exposure specialist. And I'll tell you what, it has sure been an interesting time during this pandemic. I've had over 20 events get canceled in the 3 or 4 months, mostly rescheduled, mostly postponed, and a whole lot of virtual. But one of my favorite things about this time is not so much about what are we doing, but who are we becoming? I think there are so many business owners, just like what you guys have done. They are those business first responders out there connecting with the community, giving back whatever gift you have with the world. Instead of those sitting back wondering, waiting, and worrying, we are in front of the wave. So I am so grateful for technology, for Zooming, for videos. I haven't skipped a beat. Right now, there's so much opportunity to create media exposure, to create media publicity, and connect with your community and tribe. I hope you're doing everything that you can to share your gifts, your juicy knowledge with the world. Back to the studio.
Brilliant. Thank you, Angel. Amazing, isn't it? And one of the things is, I think that when you play this game the right way, you can look like a huge organization by being very small. When WhatsApp was bought out by Facebook, it was worth, I can't remember, something like, say, $4 billion they bought it for, some massive figure, and had 13 staff worked at WhatsApp. So it's no longer about the bricks and mortar and the bodies that you see. It's about the clever positioning and the effects of the quality of the service and product that you supply. And I think a lot of it, I mean, what we're seeing here with you and me like this, and this is going to change behind me over the next 24, 48 hours, is the same as your background on your social media. You know, when you have that backdrop which has you on stage or it has you collecting an award or something, this is what we're talking about. But because it's real, it's going to be something that you really have to affect. So I'm gonna be watching this that area of business with interest to see what I can do to make mine look a lot better.
Yeah, well, it's very interesting because I mean, most people notice my map. And I actually tested it, and most people notice my map. And as you say, well, you know, one of the things that I am very proud of, and one of my big accomplishments, is the amount of travel that I have done. And obviously, that map reinforces it. Now, the point that I learned from Trevor Noah's, they were saying on that video, is having some of your diplomas and having some of your awards actually there. In fact, I do have it. This is my, and you cannot see it that much, but this is an award that I got from speaking in TEDx. So I'm going to actually make it more prominent afterwards. So
you were the best speaker, weren't you, Ernesto? You're the most popular speaker, I believe.
Sorry?
Weren't you the most popular speaker?
I was, yeah, the most popular speaker on that TED specifically, yeah.
There you go. Tell you what, most of the awards and things that I've picked up, trophies, have all been broken by cleaners. Because when I get them, I just put them on the side in my office. The cleaners come in, they do whatever they do, and I always find bits in the bin. So I've probably got loads and loads of stuff in garbage tips all across the country, as opposed to where I need them now. So I'm going to go scouting around the house and find something that's under a pile of books or clothes or something that's used to stop something blowing away. And I'll go, haha, that was the award I got from this. So I'm going to make sure I look after them in the future.
Yeah, that's great. So, yeah, I mean, I think those are going to be big changes. And I think something else that we need to take into consideration is that technology is not as easy to grasp for many people, and that's the reason why I will see that we're going to be stuck in the Zoom kind of calls for a while. However, you and I, Dave, we are working on something very, very special, which we will come and talk about it later on, which is going to revolutionize, I think, speaking from a distance. But right now, for most people, what's going to be there, it's going to be Zoom. But now here's a very interesting fact what is happening for those which are in the baby boomer generation. Have a look.
Hello?
Dad, don't you see the link?
I'm looking right now. I don't see it anywhere.
Are you looking in your text or emails?
Text.
I emailed it to you. Do you see it?
Oh, okay, I see it now. But it's not doing anything.
Did you click on it?
No.
Okay, go ahead and click on it.
It's saying it wants access to my microphone and camera.
Click OK. Are you in?
I think so. It says it's using my computer's audio?
That's good. Can you see me on your screen?
No.
Are you looking at your computer?
Oh, okay. There you are.
Okay, I'm going to hang up the phone now. I can hear you, but I can't see you. Do you have your camera on?
I think so.
I don't think it's on.
Why would it not be on?
I can't see you. That means it's not on.
Well, how do I turn it on? And why can't we just talk on the phone?
We'll be able to see each other on a big screen this way. Now there should be a camera icon on your screen. Just click that.
I don't see one.
Just move your mouse. One should appear.
What's it look like?
A camera. It should be in the lower left side of your screen.
Got it. I finally found...
I can't hear you now. I think you hit the mute button. Hit the same button again.
Okay, got it. Now can you see me?
No, but I can hear you now. Click the camera icon just to the right of the mute button.
Oh, I see it now. Wait, the damn thing just disappeared.
Move your mouse and it should reappear.
Why would they make it disappear like that?
I don't know, but if you just move your mouse, it should reappear.
Okay, I see it now. Now can you see me?
Yeah, but I just see the top of your head. Can you tilt your screen down a little?
How about that?
It's too low. You should be able to see a video of yourself in the little window. Use that to position your camera.
I just see the video of you. How about that? Is that better?
Not really. In the upper right part of your screen, you should see a galley view option. That'll let you see yourself so you can position your camera.
I don't see it.
Okay, just tilt your screen down like 2 centimeters.
Okay, how about that?
That's great, Dad. How have you and Mom been?
How do you turn the volume up? Found it.
Wow. That's something I'm not going to unsee for a while. Thanks, Ernesto. Thanks for sharing that across the broadcast. It is very funny, though. What was his name again?
His name is JP Sears, and I definitely recommend you to watch and to subscribe to his channel because he's genius, and he is one of those people that really takes a very accurate measurement of the things which are happening. I mean, there's two people that I follow constantly. One in Instagram that is called the dude with sign, which is the guy that actually holds a sign every time that you know people are getting annoyed, and JP Sears, which is incredibly accurate, figuring out what is also going on. Like this video, I mean, it just popped out yesterday, and I thought it was just genius because, of course, what we were talking about. So anyway, we are running out of time, but we are continuing with the series Imagine, and also with the gift week. So just as a brief reminder, I would like to invite you once again to make sure that you go to our page bit.ly mysorbit to create your digital business card, which is very important. And you're going to have to use the word toilet paper on the secret code so that you will be able to create your own card. And then the next one, make sure to get the chair from our toilet paper podcast. Please make sure that you share our podcast. If you would like to see these videos, you can simply go to YouTube and write down the Toilet Paper Diaries, and all of our content is already there for you. Dave and I have been there for 32 days now, non-stop.
Wow.
We feel great. This has been, in my eyes, one of the most rewarding experiences I've ever had, because I feel in our way, we are supporting our communities.
I feel the same way, and what's been amazing is the feedback we're starting to get from the many big hitters of event organizers and speakers around the world. On the 30th show, when we just reached out and said, right guys, we've got this show, would you like to just mention a few things and say what your gift is? Everybody threw themselves at it because they could see the value of being connected to doing something like we're doing right now. Lots of people are starting to do these shows, but they're once a week, they're ad hoc. By doing it every day, we show the consistency that we put into the work that we do. And also, if we did take a day off or a couple of days off, I would probably spend them on Zoom calls or whatever in this studio chatting to you about the next show anyway. So it's a habit that I love. I hope that we give enough credit and quality to everybody who comes along. And I would love to look forward to the day when we don't have to be here doing this show. But until then, it's an honor to share with you the Toilet Paper Diaries.
Thank you very much, guys. See you tomorrow in day 2 from our Imagine series. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.